Okay, deep learning. In fact, deep learning actually takes a deeper dive of whatever you've heard about deep learning. Deep learning is actually centered on data. So if you are in this class and you are also in a data science class, I will say maybe it's a two-edged sword for you. Your sword can cut front and back, because artificial intelligence, you'll be depending heavily on data.
Ah, Thomas.
Okay, now deep learning. Deep learning heavily depends on data. So as I was saying, if you are here, if you are in this class and you are also in the data science class, right, it's a two-edged sword for you. You can cut across, because you will be heavily dependent on data to train your systems. What is deep learning? Okay, in deep learning, your machine or your system actually finds patterns. So for example, let me show you a picture. Okay, let me share. All right, so you can see this phrase. This is an example of deep learning. So the deep learning, it takes a previous data, draws a pattern of this data, then used to predict for future events. Now this system analyzing this image has been trained in a way that it can actually classify a man and a woman. Now the system has been shown a picture here. So you can see from the right side, it's able to detect if it's one person. The gender of this picture is able to detect the age group, the ethnicity of the, it's obvious this person might be an African. The body parts, the time used for the detection, then detection point, then we have your axis here. The system is built in such a way, it is trained so that whenever you show or you upload a picture to it, it can actually detect either this picture is a male or female, gender, age group, ethnicity, human body part, time. It gives you all these details. Right, this is how deep learning works. It draws pattern of whatever data you give to it, and based on that data, it can predict future occurrences. Or based on what you've trained with such data, it can actually use to analyze future data which will be given to it. Okay, now let's move on. Right. In fact, for example, we have these Someone is talking. Okay, the person says, what is the difference between deep learning and regression? Or let me see. Regression. Okay. All right. Now, regression is, I would say, is a method, or is a classification in machine learning. Okay, so in regression is an algorithm which is being classified as a supervised machine learning. So in a supervised machine learning, the algorithm which can be used in performing it, such examples are regression. Okay, and regression here, in fact, uses data to predict future events. Okay, so for example, this is how regression works. In regression, we have example of I made an example of traffic. When traffic, so you use regression to build an app whereby it can give you another route when there is traffic. It knows on Mondays you have a heavy traffic here, and so pass here or pass there. Or another example, based on the previous history of the month of July in say 2020-2019, every month of July in 2020 and 2019 it rains. Therefore, it's going to rain in July 2022. This is how regression works. It's an algorithm found in supervised machine learning. Please, do you understand it? The person who asked it, let me see. Kekeli. Do you get it now? Right, let's move on. Okay, let's move on. Deep learning. Now, I was giving you some examples of deep learning. Okay, someone is talking. You're welcome. Okay. In fact, deep learning applications are so astonishing and outstanding. You visit YouTube. Then today you visit YouTube and you'll be watching them say videos on a particular musician. You didn't subscribe. No. The next time you come, you will be there and you'll be seeing recommendations. There is this new videos here. Then the same song, newly released, the same song has been recommended or showing to you. The same as Netflix, the same as Snapchat, the same as Google Assistant. So you see, all these apps, they use in fact patterns to make future predictions. In Google Assistant, you see this assistant, if you don't take care and it's your first time seeing it or your first time interacting with it, you might think someone is on the call or someone is in the app. The way it will interact with you, you will actually be amazed. For example, to automated cars. In fact, automated cars, the way this car will move, you'll be astounded. We have systems that can actually detect diseases at hospitals. So you come, you have a cancer. Nowadays, the doctor don't have to come and diagnose you like doing all those manual things. We have a system. You can go, it puts you in the system. The system will diagnose you, say, oh, you have a cancer, or you are going to have a cancer, or yes, it can predict diseases. All these systems falls under machine learning. Now, we are moving on to a very delicate part of machine learning. in machine learning, please note this down. In human, we have something called brain. Okay. And in this brain, the brain have neurons. And in these neurons, information are being transmitted in this neuron in the form of something called synapses. S-Y-N-A-P-S-E-S. Synapses. I'm going over again. Okay. In humans, we have something called brain, the human brain, right? In this brain, we have something called neurons. There are plenty nerves intertwined together in your brain, neurons. Now, in this neuron, that's where messages are being transmitted. That's where you can feel when you are being pinched by a pin, or you touch a fire, or your sense of feeling. It sends quickly to your neurons. Then these neurons, they transmit this message in a form called synapses. That's S-Y-N-A-P-S-E-S. Synapses. Okay. In machine learning or in artificial intelligence, this is the model it works on. Now, every artificial intelligence has this structure. It has neurons as compared to the human brain, but the neurons here in artificial intelligence is called neural network. Artificial neural network. The neural is spelled as N-E-U-R-A-L, neural networks. And they do work the same as the human mind. For example, when you give birth to a child, and the child, when the child starts, or you direct the child in such a way, every time the child comes back from school, the child does his or her homework. This is what you've been training the child with. So you see, as the child grows, it will get to a time you wouldn't have to prompt the person to go and do the homework. Automatically, the person will just go and do the homework. What am I trying to employ here? Meaning, you've trained the child, and so the child has actually captured this training and automatically can do whatever is required of him or her. It's the same thing in artificial intelligence. You train your system, either a machine or a software, so that even if you are not around, even if the creator is not involved, it can actually perform the functions it has been trained over the weeks or over the months. Any questions so far? Okay. Now we are moving on. Let's take an example. So, example, maybe we build a system called dog versus cat classifier. Dog versus cat classifier. Whereby this system can be able to classify a dog and a cat. Okay. Before you can build such robust system, you would have to train your system with enough data. Now, artificial intelligence works the same way as the brain. Okay, now You take your system, you give your system data. So this is what you are going to do. We will take our system, you will give multiple pictures or images of a cat, multiple pictures or images of a dog. We will train our system with thousands of images of these two, in fact, animals. After that, we will try and test it. Now, you see, when as more you are training it, the machine or the system captures the data you are being given to it. So in the future, when someone gets to that system and shows either picture to it, it can be able to tell this is a cat, this is a dog. Now let's get into how these work, the layers of deep learning, so that you can understand how these neurons work. Now in deep learning, as I said, it can compare to the human brain. The human brain consists of neurons. Is someone talking, please? Godwin, do you want to talk?
No, sir, I made a mistake.
Okay, let's move on. Now, deep learning. What is deep in the deep learning? When we talk about deep learning, what is deep? We know learning. So what is deep in the deep learning? Okay, in deep learning, this is how it works. You would have three layers. One, the input layer. Two, the network layer. And three, you are going to have the output layer. The input layer is where you are going to feed your system with input. So for example, when you are training your system, it's where you are going to pass these data. Now, the deep layer or the hidden layer or the network layer, this is where the calculations or patterns are drawn. So you can see from my interface that the pattern being drawn on the person's face, that pattern is the hidden layer. This is where the data, please take note, on our first meeting I made mention of machines don't see things as we humans we see it. For me, I will see an image, I'll be like, okay, this person is this person is that. I'll show it to the next person, the next person will say something very similar to it. Machine don't work that way. Machine draws patterns. So you seeing as a picture, the machine is using calculations. Okay, these calculations are drawn as patterns, as you can see at the man's face. It is drawn as a pattern so that the next time similar image is being portrayed to the machine, it compares the pattern of the previous image to the current image to make decisions. Now the deep learning is the surface whereby patterns are being drawn on the data set you feed with your system. Okay, this is how it works. In deep learning, we have three layers. We have, please write it down, input layer, we have hidden layer, that is the network layer, then we have the output layer. Okay, in machine or in deep learning, the deep refers to as, in fact, stack of layers. So let's see this person's face. Now please follow my mouse very carefully. This is a layer where my mouse is a layer. This too is a layer. This too is a layer. This too is a layer. This 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 is a layer. So you see, this is a very complex layer. It's stacks. So these stacks, 1, 2, I can't even count 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are called stacks. This brings about the term deep in the deep learning. So deep in the deep learning is referred to as stack of layers, because whatever data you are going to give to your machine or system, it's going to draw patterns, and these patterns comes in layers. Okay, today we will be discussing two popular algorithms in deep learning. Please write them down. One, we have CNN, that's convolution neural networks. Convolution neural networks. Convolution, CONVOLUTION, neural, NEURAL, networks. Convolution neural networks. Convolution neural networks. And the next one is RNN, that's recurrent neural networks. Recurrent neural networks. Recurrent neural networks. Now we are going to learn these major algorithms because we will be doing practice on this algorithm for you to have a feel of an artificial intelligence. I wish most of you here are in the coding class too, because we will code small. But if you are not in the coding class too, don't worry, you will still get along. Then this is for beginners, so we will do our best to make everyone understand it. Okay, these two algorithms we are going to dive inside. As an AI expert, you should understand these two algorithms. We are taking the convolution neural network, that's the CNN. The CNN. Okay, now in fact, this type of algorithm, please hope you know what an algorithm is. Let me go over an algorithm. An algorithm, it is the step-by-step way of solving a problem, as simple as that. An algorithm is the step-by-step way of solving a problem. Please, any question with algorithm, we need to understand what an algorithm is before we can proceed. Okay, now convolution neural networks algorithm. In fact, this is one of the most powerful algorithms in use today. In fact, this algorithm mainly deals with images and videos. In fact, they actually learn features, and based on these features, they can make classifications and many more. So, for example, let me bring it very down. For example, we are building an app, or let's say you are building an app whereby it can be able to classify species or different species of birds. Bird in the forest, or birds on the tree, bird. Okay, let's say as an AI expert, you want to build an application that can be able to classify these different species of birds. The components involved will be convolution neural network. We are going to use convolution neural networks, and we are going to see how it's going to be done. The components, make sure you write whatever step we take down. Okay, now let's continue. Step one, I told you, please take note, I told you an algorithm is the step by step way of solving a problem. And now we are on convolution neural networks. Now we are going to dive in convolution neural networks algorithm. So we are going to take the steps one by one in building an app or a system that can classify different species of birds. One,
Hello.
yes please. Get,
Um, Please, I want to know if your screen is changing or it's just the picture.
okay, it's the picture, but I'll change it.
Okay,
All right,
okay, thank
you are welcome. Okay, we are moving on. Step one, collection of data. Right. Let me set up a new connection, then join you soon. I'll be right back, please. All right, I've finished setting a new one. Please, we'll rejoin again. Let's rejoin again because it can end any moment from now.